What do you mean by that?
They slave catchers. Moors are not sovereign citizens.
Right, we know that, but they're feeding information to all of the sheriffs and the law enforcement agencies that put out bulletins and
Look, the ones who are successful in interacting with them are not tied to the Moorish Science Temple. They tied to a tribe.
Oh.
They're tied to one of the tribes on the land. We just got to try it back up by families.
But for a lot of people, they don't know. They don't even know. It's funny, I'm looking back. My dad just transitioned in February, but when I say ask Dad where he's from, my dad told me back in the, he said, I'm a Blackfoot Indian. He's born in Georgia, born and raised in Buena Vista, Georgia. And I said, why, Dad? Why you say that? Because you got black feet. I didn't even know there was a Blackfoot Indian, so-called Indian tribe.
Yeah, they are a Iroquois sub-tribe. Some of the bigger tribes is made up of smaller tribes. Mm-hmm. The branches of the Iroquois Nation is Crow, Blackfoot, I think Choctaw. It's a few more of them. Most of the Seminoles. Okay, so when we come to your land, our chief got to meet your chief and say, hey, we coming to give you aid, render aid and assistance. Then they exchange gifts. Then they smoke the peace pipe. Then they go to give a daughter to the chief from each clan. They exchange daughters. This is called tying the blood ties. Now, no matter what happened, I'm not turning on you and you're not turning on me because we family for real now. Mm-hmm. My daughter married your son and my son married your daughter. So now, whatever happened, all of the chiefs know we ain't finna back down from that agreement because I'm not going to give my daughter up just because I want to infiltrate you. We don't operate that way, but the enemy does. That's why Elijah Muhammad said the last trick of the devil would be to freely give you his woman. The only way you can tell his woman is because she don't take care of the yoni. That's sacred in our culture. All of our women tell us boys when we growing up, if she stink up the room, don't touch it. Right? That's our culture. They culture not like that. So she don't have to take care of her portal. In our culture, it's mandatory. That's one of the first things that the women start teaching their daughter early about her body. Don't nobody supposed to touch you down there. If anybody touch you down there, you're supposed to tell mommy or daddy. Period. Right? So she's starting to learn respect for her body at an early age. We teach the same thing differently to the boys, but that's taught by the men.
I don't think that goes on anymore. Yeah.
We don't have those rites of passage in play anymore.
No, we don't.
That's been replaced with a 12-step thinking detoxification program called school. Mm-hmm. And the word school is a Yiddish word from the Yiddish word shul, S-H-O-O-L, which came from the Hebrew word Sheol, which is S-H-E-O-L. And we all know if we read the book that Sheol is hell.
Hell is hell. That's what I'm saying.
So we sending our kids to hell. We feeding them to the beast.
Oh my. Y'all hear that?
So if you study Dr. Amos Wilson, he'll say, how in the hell can you let your enemy educate your child and expect to be to rise up out of the condition? He only gonna teach your child what's required to keep him in that condition.
Absolutely.
It's the same with Carter G. Woodson, the miseducation of the Negro tell you the same thing. If you control the way a man think, you need not worry about his actions. Right? So once we understand that the mind of the oppressed is the greatest weapon of the oppressor, then we know to pull our children out of a system of miseducation so that we can properly educate them.
That's true. Wow.
History books before 1900 don't tell the same story as history books after. And that's why they cost so much more. Not because because it's a lot of them. But they cost more because you got to pay the cost to be the boss. You got to pay the price to get the knowledge required to break free. Right? Yeah. So I done paid the cost. That's why the money don't move me, because I know the system is fraudulent. And the next thing to fall is the money system. The money system and the media is the next two things to fall. The media, you're going to know they fail when you got new faces telling you the truth.
Yeah. Well, it's starting to happen slowly, and I hear all the time about the viewership in some of these major outlets, how much it has dropped. It's because folks aren't like, no, they realize they could turn any channel on and hear exactly the same thing because it was like, this was scripted. Everybody's saying the same thing, and they've showed it.
Well,
Yeah,
all of the news.
Yeah, saying the same thing at the same time, different news.
This is why they only get all of the news. Get their news from two places. They get it from the Reuters News Service or the Associated Press. That's it. The CIA created both of them.
But that they said there's some main players, but there's only a couple, like maybe I think it was like 6 owners of all of these major outlets are owned by, say, just a handful, 5 or 6 people. Like I think he's dead now, but Rupert Murdoch was one, and there was different ones that had these outlets, and they're the ones, and so they just shoot out, like you said, a release, and everybody reads. I mean, they even have folks read the release.
It don't matter who's putting the release out. It can only come in and be put on the news through 2 places: Reuters and Associated Press.
Okay.
So let's say that you have a news TV station and you want today's news. You don't go out in the street and look for a story. You're not an investigative reporter. Investigative reporters work for Reuters and Associated Press. So they sell their stories to them. Then the CIA screen them and say, put this out in the public domain. Just that simple. None of this stuff that we getting is haphazard. It's all orchestrated and planned. We believe that when the news report on the story that is local and it only affects that our news people found out some news. Right? And the big story is the story that play out on all of the channels.
Right? Yeah, because like most recently, like the slap that was heard around the world while you missed what was happening on the Senate floor.
Yeah. So when the slap came about, it was 2 things taking place. It was the beginning of the invasion. It was the opening up of the Hunter Biden laptop in the evidence. Right? Because now, once this start rolling out, it's going to bring in the Podesta files, that's not a coincidence because it happens too often. Right? So this lady had to go around worrying about the rest of her kids for the rest of her life, because if she tell what happened to her daughter, they going to do that to the worse to the rest of her kids. That's some foul shit. Don't no mother want to have to carry that burden, keeping the secret of who killed one of your children to keep the rest of your children alive and safe.
Yeah. Some deep stuff.
Yeah, that's a trap. Secured party creditor, UCC1 is all uniform commercial code regulated adhesion contract scenarios.
So it's a trap, is what you're saying.
It's a trap. It worked for a while till they get tired of your ass telling people. Then they charge you with fraud for doing it and lock your ass up. So a couple hundred guys in the federal joint right now for it that got pulled out of the state for trying to use it to get free from prison that I knew personally.
Really?
It wasn't that they was wrong. It's a loophole they can't close. So they got an alternative. Any mistake made in the paperwork is considered a fraud. If you forget to dot an I across the T, it turns the whole paperwork into an action of fraud. It's a trap.
Mm.
And it no longer applies anyway because the corporation is defunct. Washington, D.C. is closed.
We see in the movie.
That's all we seeing. They playing out White House scripts from Castle Rock Studios. Senate scripts is playing out from some other building that ain't the Senate building. Nobody ain't even noticed the decor being different. The size of the ceiling is lower. Ain't no balcony for all of the delegates to be in there. We ain't noticed none of that. We just watching them talk, thinking that they telling us the truth. And they talking to us with double speak. It's every politician got to learn double speak. Just like you got legalese, you got medical leagues, and then you got political leagues. The political language is doublespeak. Tell the people one thing means something different. That's why the elders told us pale face speak with forked tongue. That means he's telling you what he want to tell you, and then he's telling you what he told to tell you. He's telling you two different things at the same time. And if you listen to him, pale face speak with forked tongue, one tongue telling the truth, the other one telling the bald faced lie. That's always to keep us at constantly off guard, off balance. We always falling back and can't quite get our bearings as to what's taking place. Because every time we get to the bottom of one lie, they tell us 1,000 more to sift through.
Right. The Black Zionist says, I live in DC. I live in DC, but it still looks open.
DC is closed. Matter of fact, they just made it public that they evacuated the what's the building, the Senate building, the State House, whatever the fuck it's called. That they made it public that they evacuated it about 2 or 3 days ago.
Really?
Yeah,
they evacuated like it's a threat, or they're just.
So this is the cover story to let the people know why DC closed. They're saying they're preparing for a attack.
Okay.
That's what they're saying. They're preparing for an attack. Russia's about much thinking about us is me and you thinking about giving Putin a birthday present. And he ain't crossed my mind until they brought up Russia. So you know I wasn't finna buy him no birthday present. Russia ain't thinking about us. I posted that 1.5 years ago. As soon as they tell you that we about to go to war with Russia or China, they lying. The deep state got private militaries on all land masses, masquerading as contingents of the real military. So it was a buzz that was real heavy with Secret Service and with the CIA leading up to that the old man Bush and LBJ was collaborating to change. That was also, when they say he wasn't playing ball, it was also in reference to Fidel Castro and the Cuban Revolution and the missile crisis. Because Fidel Castro was an American baseball player in college. And a lot of people don't know that.
So if they're looking for that, thanks for the memories PDF, is by someone named Bryce, BRICE Taylor. Very interesting read. It's not interesting as much as it's shocking, but it's the stuff that goes on that, we're now just finding out about. So, wow. Someone says Hollywood's closed, so they hit Studio City. They also doing a lot of stuff in Georgia. Georgia seems to be the East Coast Hollywood. A lot of things are taking place in Georgia.
That's Tyler Perry's supposed to be putting us up our own studios to bypass the usury contracts and the 360 contracts and the sex deals for movie parts and all that. So Tyler Perry's job was to build and establish our studios for the people from the land.
Well, okay. Yeah, my middle son has been an extra in some of his movies, and he lives right near. He's not far from the studio, so I'm glad to hear that he's not a part of the problem. I didn't know, because you never know.
Well, they classify him as a huge problem.
They or us?
They, the system.
Okay. The system.
He's a headache that they can't figure out a way around it, because they can't, all of the frauds that they wanted to hit him with tax evasion, but he was paying his taxes.
Okay.
Right. Then they was going to try the sex scandal. So he portrayed characters where it wouldn't work. Right. So everything that they was going to use against him, somebody was tipping him off on how to play his hand so he could stay a step ahead of them. I got my suspicion, but I don't know it to be the fact yet.
Wow. Let me see. We're gonna go out I'm gonna take a few more questions. If there are actually any questions, I'm kind of looking at some comments. Research background. Okay. Let me see. Any questions? Y'all? While we got this record keeper.
It's funny you call me that because that's what I call Taj.
Really? Okay, but you record keeper, you know, Gresham knows a lot. You know, he knows a lot. But I'm saying you and I have spoken. I think the first time we had a conversation, we talked for 2 hours and 18 minutes, and that was an introductory conversation. And the next time I called you for something, I was like, oh, I think I woke you up. An hour plus later, we were still talking. You know, because the knowledge was coming out, and I just appreciate you, and I appreciate knowledge. Anybody who some of the folks here in the chat appreciate the dearth, if you will, and the breadth of knowledge that you bring, and you're able almost all subjects that are brought up, you are able to speak on it, and that's a good thing. I mean, you're not stuttering and stammering and saying I think and so forth. But when you can be definitive about what it is you say, and then it's up to each one of us to put it in our own filter, and if it resonates, fine. If it doesn't, it's okay. Everything, the truth don't work with everybody.
Well, we're not all supposed to always believe the same thing all the time.
That's right.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, we'd be cookie cutter.
It's 8.4 billion people on the planet. Can you imagine everybody trying to do the same thing every day? That don't make sense. So everybody ain't supposed to agree with me.
Right.
But they're supposed to be triggered to go do some research on their own to find out where I might be missing something, because they might be the missing piece.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that they disagree with me could send them back to get a piece of information that could bridge a gap somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's why we all become equally important. No big eyes, no little U's, no respecter of persons. Right. Mm-hmm. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and you can't dress that motherfucker up however you want it just because you want it to be different. Right is gonna still be right, and wrong gonna still be wrong.
Right.
We gonna still be over here, and we ain't from Rome. And they say all roads lead back to Rome, which is the papal bulls. The papal bulls is the decrees of the Pope to usurp the land, or what they call execute the white man's burden of civilizing the world. But how you gonna civilize somebody that was building monuments you can't even duplicate?
Speaking of monuments and stuff, I do have something I wanted to bring up. You mentioned the World's Fair, and I don't know how many really, we didn't go into depth into that, but I started studying it just recently, like in the last 2 or 3 months, not even that far back, about these World Fairs and these orphan trains that were going on around the same time, and these, these massive structures that they put in certain places, that they opened World's Fairs in, and they gave the public the illusion or the lie that they had created this just to bring forth technology, more recent technology, when the truth of it is these had existed. Question one, where did the people go that used to inhabit those places? How did they get rid of the real inhabitants of that? That's my first question.
A lot of our major cities like Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, a couple cities in New Jersey, they sent them to us. That shit don't work on us. We gon' figure this shit out and put it in the public domain for the rest of the Klansmen to know. Because we know the rules. The rule is each one teach one for a reason. Because it's the word of mouth. It's the spreading of the word of mouth about the awareness of the self and the social condition. We need to change the condition because our children are suffering the most, and our children are our future. So to see the children suffering and stand by idly is to watch your future be burnt to the ground in front of your face. So if we don't get a handle on Pizzagate, Pedalgate, Frazzle Drip, Watergate, Bill Gates, and any other gate they got, the Queen Elizabeth Gate, the Pope Gate, we get to closing all these goddamn gates on their motherfucking ass. Let the guillotine drop.
Lionsgate.
You dig? Hey, you brought that up. That's Daniel. And judgment came in through the Lions Gate. That's an 88 flip. And lions running prides. And the pride is the family. Because the pride is in the family. If you're a mother.
She be proud of all her kids. Unless she one of them fake ones.
Leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when we go back to our culture, go back to the way things doing, like a small city ties to the big city.
Don't slam.
Small cities tie back into the big cities as a support system. Right? The smaller cities feed the bigger cities for the workers that need to be there. But when they get done working, putting in their work to develop into the person that can handle their shit, then they get all their shit. It was the training ground to learn how to live a certain kind of way. They turned them into industrial centers. But that's where the training grounds were, all of the big cities. And the only one that still got the parade is New Orleans, Mardi Gras. We used to do that shit all over the country. Now we only got one city doing it. And then you got the people that's supposed to be doing it scared to do it. We scared to even go to New Orleans during Mardi Gras season. Oh, them witches gonna put a hex on me. Motherfucker, you going to church every Sunday getting hexed. You going to the mosque doing Juma every Friday getting hexed. Maybe if you go to Mardi Gras, your ass might get hex free. I'm just saying. We threw festivals for a reason, because a miserable motherfucker can keep.
Somebody say carnival, cookout, party.
All that shit.
I'm going to keep going back. I'm ready.
But we do that shit because we know that when we keep everybody in that high energy state, they can't fuck with us. We see them instantly when they bring the bullshit at that point. Because we all can vibrate on that high altitude. They can't do it and they get an attitude. Right? And that's when they expose themselves. So
does anybody have any questions? I just want to. I'm getting hounded. Same thing with tribal dancing and crip walking. I'm just looking at some things.
Mm-hmm. I can barely see it on my screen.
What in the love? Let me get out my face.
The fastest way now to help the movement is to keep the habeas petition going, get many people from a position of a sovereign. We need to see the three kings. So we support that Hague. The Hague was issued in the sovereign capacity into the public domain by the clerk of the family court.
We still get the same. I can't even do these same questions about the nationality card and
slave catching.
Is Kanye corrupting the movement? Is a question I've seen twice.
No, Kanye is following Larry instructions to the letter right now. So look, it worked like this. No matter how much we care about you, no matter how much we love you, if you did dirt, you're going to pay for your dirt. I don't give a fuck who you is. Ain't no big eyes or little dudes in this shit.
I'm about to change.
So there's no exceptions, including me. Ain't no exceptions. I paid for my dirt.
Disrespect.
I ain't no motherfucking happy-go-lucky, friendly ass, get along to go along ass motherfucker. That's not my lane. So if I gotta pay for my shit, I done some wrong in my life. I had to pay for that shit. I paid for it. But I'm not gonna keep paying for it now that the debt paid. Not gonna hold that shit over my head forever. Right? because I did something when I was a child, you're not finna hold me as an adult responsible for childish ways of a child. No, that's not gonna work like that. I paid my motherfucking dues, paid my motherfucking debts. The borders are already closed. Oh,
That's what I was going to speak on earlier, and we did talk about Kamala earlier in the video, but he did the sanctions based on the elections, the interference. So he froze anybody's account that was tied to it. So some of these corporations have their shit on these containers and they're seized. And there is a log that I found that actually shows they are taking ships in, but it's only certain ones. So they're freezing any celebrity, any corporation, any CEO stuff, and that's why all that shit is sitting out there.
right. Well, listen, we in a governmental transition.
Treason.
We in a government.
Yeah, it was back in 2018.
Yeah. So now we in the governmental transition. They got to close the borders anyway. Right. So now that the borders closed, that anybody that know how government operate, and let's remember Noble Drew said, I'm leaving in power until y'all can run the government. That means you got to know how government run, even in spite of the narrative they telling. So when you switching the government over, you have to close the borders to prevent invasion. But American borders are not the only borders that's closed. It's ships all over the earth just sitting on the oceans because they can't dock. If they was out at sea, they can't dock. If they was in the harbor and docked, they can't go out to. If they go out to sea, they might get shot the fuck down. Some. Right? And also, because of that, people are expecting delivery of their children, and now they starting to panic because they know that they stolen babies is stuck on the ocean, and they're gonna eventually either get caught or they're gonna have a bunch of dead bodies they gotta dump. That's how they end up catching that ship with all them kids on it. They ain't the only one out there, and they ain't the only one they caught. And don't think the Navy ain't going ship to ship on recon missions.
We board shipped all the time.
Yeah, don't think they're not going and investigating. And any motherfucker that got gets a problem, you got multiple militaries from around the world converging on all these ships looking for these kids. So they got the news stories playing out with the boogeyman being China or Russia about to attack us. Them motherfuckers ain't thinking about us because they over there cleaning their own shit up.
Everybody's running quote unquote drills. That's the code word. So yes, watch the water. Some people have been asking about La Palma earthquakes. You know, that's a whole nother subject. That's just naturally going to occur. We asked you to prepare. It's not going to stop to a certain extent.
Look,
certain things are going to happen.
Look, people that's not watching it, they want you to keep updating them on it, right? But the shit ain't changed. The condition is the same. Why am I going to keep telling you the same shit over and over? I'm not going to do it. Go back and watch the last video and you'll be caught up. If I ain't talk about La Palma, then watch the one before that. Until you hear me talking about La Palma, I mean the information hasn't changed. And if it did, the update was there. Right? Fuck La Palma, sink that bitch, get rid of the parasites when Atlas shrugged. That's how I feel about it. And if the tsunami come, then goddamn it, let the tsunami come. That had nothing to do with me. Get rid of the motherfucking problem so that we can go on about our own goddamn business. DC need to be the only thing affected by the goddamn tsunami, as far as I care. They can wash that bitch in the ocean.
Well, can I move first before you wash me out to sea? I already know how to swim. It's the rest of y'all I be worried about.
Look, As long as
That was the first thing when I got on planet Earth. Rashida learned how to swim, scuba diver certified, know how to do subs. Any aircraft carrier, I will fuck a ship in ocean. I love it. But the rest of y'all can play if you want to.
yeah.
Play if you want to. I came Atlantis ready, like memories. I remember. I don't fuck with the
Hey,
water,
look.
but I will. No fear.
You know how they be talking about girls wearing yoga pants?
Okay, why?
No, I'm bringing that for a reason. But literally, the full bodysuit was normal attire for women in Atlantis.
Oh, diver suit.
Yeah, that's where all that came from. Cat suits. That's what they call them. Yeah.
Can you survive the tsunami on the Caribbean? Yeah, go to high ground. I say it all the time for everybody. Backup plan, East Coast. Yep, gotta watch out. West Coast gotta watch out.
Look, if y'all want to know what to do, follow the animals. If you go outside and you don't hear no dogs barking and you don't see no birds nowhere around, and then normally all that shit be loud, you better get to moving.
Many of us have done videos on it and everything, so
the animals gonna know before anybody else. They're gonna be your early alert system because the system is failed, and we might be in the middle of a blackout and y'all don't know to follow the goddamn animals. Follow the animals when the shit they gonna be running in the direction of safety. They not running to the problem, they running away from it. So long as you see your deer out in front of your house doing their thing, playing around like ain't nothing, you good.
Yeah, but you just said, and we all know DC will get underwater. I'm trying to leave.
You might be gone by the time that happens. Shit, we might.
Yeah, I hope.
Hey, we might carve that motherfucker out and send it on its merry way, so it let it sink, just to get it off the land. We done it before, and we'll do it again.
Clean all that blood off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been watching the birds. We've been talking about the birds